Ah, there you are, my dear friend. Come, sit with me. No need to hurry. The fire is kind tonight, and the ground is warm where the sun kissed it all day long. I've cleared a hollow in the wheat just for us. Lay your cloak down if you like, or simply lean back. The grass here is soft enough to cradle even the weariest soul. Do you hear it? That quiet hush in the air. It's the sound the world makes when it's finally finished speaking for the day. Just the crackle of the fire now, the faint whisper of wind running gentle fingers through the tall stalks around us. Everything else has gone still. Even the birds have tucked themselves into sleep. And the stars, well, they're just beginning to open their eyes. Look up. See how the last of the sunlight has melted into that band of lavender just above the horizon. That color always reminds me of wool, steeped in summer dye, soft and cooling, like river water on the back of your neck after a long walk. It never lasts long, that hue, but I've found it always lingers just long enough to soften the breath. Breathe with me a while. Slow and quiet. There it is. The wheat sways gently, like it's listening too. Each stalk rises high, golden and nodding, their heads heavy with grain, yet somehow at ease in the wind. It's strange, isn't it, that something can bow without breaking. There's a lesson there, I think. But tonight we don't need lessons, only stillness. The fire is burning well. I laid it low so the sparks wouldn't leap too high, just enough to warm our hands, to cast a bit of dancing amber across the blades of my armor. You see how it catches on the breastplate, like molten gold in motion. I sometimes forget how beautiful steel can be when it's resting. And now, if you listen closely, you'll hear it. The stars, not their voices perhaps, but the hush they bring with them. They rise one by one, slow and deliberate, as if reluctant to disturb the peace down here. Each one finds its place above us, until the sky becomes a great velvet canopy, pricked with soft pinpricks of light. I used to know all their names once. Not the scholarly ones from the castle books, no, the names old shepherds whispered while chewing mint leaves, or the ones we made up as squires lying on barracks rooftops. The archer's wife, the frozen swan. The one I always liked best was called the cup left out in the rain, just a crooked little loop of stars that looks like a forgotten mug, half full of twilight. It's all so very quiet here, but not empty. There's a fullness in this kind of silence, don't you think? Like a lullaby without words. The wheat hums gently with its own music, the sort of sound you only notice when you've stopped trying to hear anything else. It's the same music that lulls deer to sleep, that makes owls blink slower, that wraps itself around your shoulders like a soft woolen shawl. You at chafe here, my friend. The sword lies beside me, but I've no need to lift it tonight. The only battles now are the ones the wind fights with the grasses, and it always seems to lose happily. Feel the earth beneath you, cool but not cold. Just enough to remind your bones they belong to something older, something steady. This field has been here longer than any king's name, longer than any song still sung by bards with dust on their boots. It remembers, even if we do not. I think it's good sometimes to lie on the ground and let it hold your weight, to stop carrying things, to let the sky take them for a while. So stay here with me. Let the fire burn low. Let the stars lean closer. Let the world exhale around us. You are not alone, not tonight. Look around you, dear heart. Whisperfield stretches farther than the eye can follow, doesn't it? A golden sea with no shore, just wave after wave of tall wheat, their slender necks bowing with the wind's breath, rising again, never quite still. I've often thought of it as a kind of ocean for those of us who cannot sail. It sighs and stirs and listens. It doesn't need ships to carry you. It carries you all the same, just slower, softer. You don't go far, but you go deep. Lie back if you'd like. There's no better ceiling than this sky. The last blush of sunlight has nearly slipped beneath the edge of the earth, and the indigo has begun to bloom above us like ink dropped in still water. Even the wheat knows the light is leaving. It leans more heavily now, restful, brushing against itself with a dry hush. It's the kind of hush that cradles rather than silences, like a lullaby sung in the voice of the land itself. The crickets are beginning their song. You hear them, 1,000 little fiddlers hidden in the grass, drawing their notes slow and steady, a rhythm old as dirt. Not music for dancing. No, this is the kind that folds into your ribs, that reminds you your body belongs to the evening. Every night, they begin again, never quite the same, but never quite new. That's the kind of comfort I've come to cherish. Familiar, yes, but not dull, like a cloak you've worn for decades, a bit patched, a bit faded, but still warm. Somewhere out there, past the far line of trees where the land turns darker than dark, there's an owl who calls just once and then waits. He never hoots again. Not that I've heard, just that single note, low and round like a bell buried beneath moss. I've come to think of him as a keeper of silence more than a breaker of it. Just one soft sound to mark the coming night, and then he lets the hush return. The fire, too, has its voice tonight. Crackles now and then, not too loudly. The kind of fire that doesn't want attention, only your company. I built it low with pine cones and broken stalks from the field's edge, and now it glows like a hearth from a forgotten cottage. Its scent, can you smell it? Sweet wood smoke, tinged with the resin of the cone, mixing gently with the grain in the air, and beneath it all, a softness, soil still holding the day's warmth, and the faint spice of old roots turned up by foxes or beetles in the dark. Whisperfield is kind at night. Even the stars come gently here. One by one they begin to peek through the deepening violet. The brighter ones arrive first, never in a hurry. It's as though the sky itself takes a deep breath between each appearance. I think that's what I love most about this place. Not just its quiet, but its patience. It waits, and in that waiting it teaches you to slow down too. Do you feel how the air changes as the light fades? It cools not like stone, but like linen left on a windowsill. The warmth hasn't gone, not fully. It just steps back a little, as if to let you notice your own skin again. A breeze slips through the wheat now and then, parting it just briefly, never harsh. I like to think of it as a wandering spirit, not lost, just curious. Even the shadows here are gentle. You see how the firelight touches the tips of the wheat and leaves the bottoms in velvet. Everything becomes two-toned, the gold of memory above the hush of night beneath. Sometimes I imagine the wheat is listening to us, bending closer to hear our voices, or perhaps it's remembering something of its own. This field has seen so many nights, so many quiet moments, and it never seems to tire of them. There's a scent here I've never been able to name. Not grain, not smoke, not moss. It's something softer. Something like the inside of an old book left near a window. Like wool that's been worn through kindness, not cold. I smell it most often just after the sun disappears. Just that breath between dusk and dark. It feels like memory. Not a specific one, just the sense that something good happened once. And that's enough. The sky deepens further now, my friend, and the world narrows in the best of ways. You and I, the fire, the field, and all that dark wheat swaying as if in prayer. We're wrapped in something ancient, not heavy, not burdensome, just vast, vast and tender. Out at the edge of hearing, there's a brook. You won't see it from here, not tonight, but you might just catch its voice if you listen with your chest instead of your ears. It murmurs through the roots and stones like it's singing only to itself. I've walked there before, on afternoons brighter than this one, but I find I love it more from a distance. It's a song I don't need to interrupt. Sometimes when I lie very still, I imagine the field rising up to cover me, not to bury, no, but to hold, as if the earth remembers who I am even when I forget. I think it remembers everyone who's passed through, not their names necessarily, but their shapes, their quiet, the way they breathed when they finally let themselves rest. That's what Whisperfield is to me. A place that remembers how to hold things gently. And's holding us now, you and I. No demands, no expectations. Just space to be still, to let your shoulders ease, to feel your fingers loosen, to let your thoughts drift without anchor. Let it all fade for now. There's nothing waiting, nothing pressing, just this. Just the hush of the field. The hush of the stars, the hush inside your chest. You are welcome here, my friend. You always have been, and you always will be. I must admit, I've grown rather fond of this position, flat on my back, hands folded behind my head, legs crossed just so, armor and all. There was a time when I would have laughed at myself for it. Steel was meant for standing tall, wasn't it? For marching, guarding, bracing against the blow. And yet here I am, sunk halfway into a cradle of grass and gold, letting the fire warm one side of me and the evening cool the other. Strange, how peace fits just as well as war. Perhaps even better. You see, my dear friend, this isn't a pause between battles, nor a night's respite, on the way to another summons. No, this rest, it is a choice, and I've come to believe it may be the truest one I've ever made. Not a surrender, but a return to something I had long forgotten I needed. The sword. Ah, it's just there beside me. Don't mind it. I haven't reached for it in days. Its edge hasn't dulled. Not yet. But I suspect even it has begun to appreciate the quiet. Letting it lie untouched feels right. I still keep it close, of course, not out of fear, but out of respect. We've been through a great deal together, that blade and I. But tonight, like me, it need not prove anything. You might wonder what keeps me in my armor. Even now, it's not discomfort. No, the plates are worn thin at the edges, shaped to my frame by time and memory. They breathe with me now. Perhaps it's that I've worn it so long that I feel more myself within it than without. Or perhaps deep down I simply like the sound it makes when the wind brushes over it. Like distant chimes or the creak of old wood in a kindly house. There's something different about this place, this field, Whisperfield, as I've come to call it. It is unlike any fortress or throne hall, any outpost or forest trail I've wandered. There is no echo of orders shouted, no clang of practice blades, no scent of oil or old parchment, just wheat, just wind, just this soft patch of earth that molds to the curve of your back and makes you forget you were ever tense. When I lie here long enough, I can feel myself lengthen, like a shadow near sunset, not stretched but released. The kind of stillness you don't notice until it has already taken root inside your chest. I've known many kinds of tired in my life. The ache in the joints after a long day on patrol, the sting in the eyes after nights without sleep, the heavy drag in the bones after carrying too much grief, too long. But this is not tiredness. This is contentment, a kind of quiet that settles beneath the ribs, where the old worries used to live. I've walked many roads, my friend, stony paths through borderlands, forest trails slick with moss, high ridges where the snow stung your teeth when you smiled. Some of them led to glory, or something like it. Some led only to lessons, but none of them, not one, ever felt as right as lying here beside a small fire, watching the stars arrive like old friends who don't need to speak. I remember when I first let myself rest like this. It was harder than I expected. My hands didn't know what to do without a task. My thoughts wandered, like hounds without leashes. But slowly, the field taught me, or perhaps reminded me, that not every moment needs filling, that silence doesn't mean something is missing. Sometimes silence is the gift. You see, when you've lived a life of duty, of vigilance, of readiness, you begin to believe that stillness is laziness, that softness is a luxury you must earn. But Whisperfield, this place, knows better. It offers peace, not as a reward, but as a birthright. So I take it, I let it wrap around me like a woolen blanket left by a thoughtful hand, and I hope you will too. You are safe here. Not just because I am beside you, but because the world has decided, in this small hour, to ask nothing more of us. I sometimes wonder what the wheat remembers, if it holds echoes of all those who have lain here before me. Travelers, shepherds, perhaps even a bard with a lute strung from pine gut and song. Maybe their dreams have settled in the roots. Maybe their breath still lingers in the stalks. Or maybe peace leaves no trace but the comfort it gives to the next who finds it. I like that thought. You may be curious what I used to be, who I served, what banners I followed. But truth be told, I remember less and less of those details. Faces blur, orders fade, even victories soften with time. What remains are smaller things, the way my horse used to nuzzle my elbow when I paused, the scent of rain on chainmail, the warmth of soup eaten beside strangers who became friends. These are the keepsakes I carry, not medals, not titles, just moments that made me more human than soldier. And now I have this place, this field, this breath, this you. That, I think, is more than enough. So let us rest a while longer, my friend. There is no rush to rise, no drumbeat in the distance, just the whisper of the wheat, the fire's steady breath, and the slow, deep comfort of a heart that no longer needs to guard itself. You are welcome here. Beside me within the hush, under the stars. You know, my dear friend, there's something I've come to cherish above nearly all else. It's not a treasure, nor a memory I clutch too tightly. It's more of a quiet ritual, a soft vow I've kept with no witness but the stars and this sleeping earth. Every midsummer, when the air turns syrup-sweet with grain and the nights grow long but gentle, I return to this field, to Whisperfield, to this very patch of flattened stalks and the faint scent of ash from old campfires. Then I lie down here, in my armor still, and look up. That's the entire task, my gentle little quest. Just to lie back and try, with the slow patience of age, to remember the names of the stars that do not always succeed. In fact, I remember fewer each year. But strangely, it's never felt like failure. No, it's quite the opposite. There's a peace in the forgetting, a sweetness, even, as though each name that slips away makes room for wonder to step in, as though I no longer need to name them to feel their company. You're welcome to join me in this tradition, if you like. There's no test, no tally of stars to account for. Just gaze. Let your eyes rest in the sky's quiet pulse. Some nights I can recall a dozen names, other nights only 2 or 3, and still others none at all. And those nights might be the finest of all. There's one I remember well, though, one I never forget. The long lantern. See it there, to the west, where the stalks part a little, and the sky opens just a touch more. It's a chain of 5 small lights, barely visible most nights, but just bright enough to trace with the tip of a finger. When I was younger, a fellow knight, Elric was his name, told me it looked like a lantern on a winding chain, swinging gently in the dark. He and I lay here once, side by side, not saying much, just the fire crackling, and the field brushing against us. He reached his arm out, pointed to those stars and said, "When I die, let me hang my lantern there, so I'll never have to stop riding." Or maybe he did. Elric was that kind of man, dreamer behind steel, jester with scars. I remember that night, because it was the first time I felt the silence between words could be more comforting than the words themselves. We didn't speak much after that. Just listened to the wheat lean and the stars blink and the fire hum its slow red tune. Now whenever I come back, I find that same patch of sky. It's always a little different, shifted just enough to keep me looking. I search for it not to prove I remember, but to let my breath match its rhythm again. I like to think Elric's still there, not watching necessarily, just swinging gently on his chain of stars, still not quite finished with the sky. There's something beautiful about doing a thing only for the sake of doing it, not to master it or measure it or perfect it, but simply to return to it over and over, until the returning becomes the reward. That's what this little quest is for me. I come back. I lie down. I look up. And I remember what I can, or I forget what I must. And always I rest. I've found that stars do not demand attention. They don't flare or burn to be remembered. They're content to simply be. And in their quiet confidence, I've learned a great deal, that I don't need to hold on to everything to honor it, that I can let some names drift into the night, like smoke, and still carry their warmth in my chest. Do you feel it too? So kind of wonder that doesn't knock at the door, but waits politely in the corner of the room, hands folded. That's what midsummer skies are like here. A hush that doesn't smother, but invites. You see, my sword has its stories. My shield its dents and legends, but the stars, they hold a different kind of memory. A softer one, not bound by victory or failure, but by presence alone. They watched me when I was young and wild. They watched me as I grew careful and cautious, and now they watch me rest. Some nights, I whisper their names aloud like a prayer with no petition. Just a litany of light, the long lantern, the ember bridge, the sister Stet's crown, the hound sip's tongue. And then there are the names I've given myself, out of nothing more than affection. The sleeping hook, the soft-hearted archer, the blue whisper. They probably have other names. Scientific, perhaps. Royal, even. But I think the stars don't mind what we call them, so long as we look. You don't need to speak tonight. Just listen, if you like. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts wander like moths over still water. The wheat will catch your worries. the wind will carry them into the shadows. And the stars will keep watch. That's what they do best. There's one more thing I try to do each time I lie here. It's small, but it means something to me. After I've looked long enough, after my eyes begin to blur from the brightness and the dark, I close them and try to remember the shape of the sky behind them. Not the stars themselves, but the feeling they leave, like a cool hand pressed to the forehead, like a familiar voice humming far away. That shape, unseen but known, that's what I carry with me when I rise. Even now, with you here beside me, I feel it settling in, that shape behind my eyes, that peace behind the gaze. And I think its sense no longer just mine. It sets ours now, isn't it? You and I, resting here. Jesus, sun for notice, sun the mol the malbany, remembering, forgetting, and breathing in the hush between the stars. You know, my friend, the longer I rest in this field, the more I realize that the grandest discoveries aren't always grand at all. They don't announce themselves, they don't trumpet and shine, they appear quietly tucked beneath a leaf, folded into the hush of evening, or resting gently in the spaces between heartbeats. Little moments, light as a feather's edge, but they stay with you. They take root, quietly. Let me share a few, if that pleases you. Nothing important, not in the world's sense of the word, but things that have stayed with me, nonetheless. There's a stone not far from here, just beneath the reach of the firelight, where the wheat dips slightly and the earth turns up smoother and paler than the rest. I found it on one of my first evenings here. Years ago, a stone no bigger than a fist, carved by time, not tool, into the shape of a spiral. It sits now beside the edge of a small puddle that only forms after a heavy rain, catching starlight in its little bowl like a mirror to the sky. I didn't move it, didn't pocket it. I left it where it lay. There was a kind of reverence to its presence, as though it had been waiting for someone to notice it, not to claim it. When I pass that spot, sometimes on the way to gather dry stalks for the fire, I give it a glance, a small nod, that's all, and that's enough. I don't need to understand it, I only need to witness. There was another time, midsummer it must have been. I remember because the wheat had grown so tall, I could barely see the sky when I sat upright. I'd left my helm resting on a stump and had just settled back when it began to rain, softly at first. Just a tapping, like the fingers of a sleepy harpist plucking at the strings of the world. Rain against wheat is a sound like no other. It's not the same as leaves, not as sharp. It's gentle, hollow, almost. Like the field is listening to itself. I lay there and let it wash over me. Eyes closed, arms out. The armor sang a little as the droplets struck it, a kind of slow, irregular lullaby. I didn't move. I didn't speak, just let it fall. When it stopped, the wheat steamed and the whole world smelled of bread and iron and clean soil. That scent still lives somewhere in the folds of my cloak. And the foxes, have I told you about them? They live in the field too, though they move like secrets. You won't often see them, but if you watch closely at dawn, just as the mist begins to lift from the wheat's crown, you'll notice narrow tunnels cut into the stalks, too neat to be accident, too low to be man-made. Those are the fox paths. Narrow corridors through golden stems like passageways in a silent palace. I followed one once. Not far, mind you. Just a few steps on hands and knees. And there, tucked into a bend in the trail, I found a feather. Black, with a single stripe of white down the center, as if the bird had been painted by moonlight. I didn't take it. I've never been one for trophies. I prefer to let the beauty remain where it belongs. Now and again, I leave something in return. A sprig of lavender, a smooth river stone, a plum pit. Just little things placed gently near the mouths of those fox trails where the stalks seem to listen. I don't know if the foxes notice, but it feels like the right thing to do, like saying thank you without a word. One night, years ago, perhaps even a decade now, I was lying right where you are now, the fire low, the wind still, and the stars beginning their slow unveiling. I heard a flutter near my left side and turned my head just enough to see a crow sleeping in the crook of a twisted wheat cluster. Its head was tucked beneath one wing, one foot curled under. It didn't seem bothered by my presence. I watched it for a while, letting the fire reflect in its glossy feathers, and then, as if the sky had been holding its breath just for this moment, a shooting star cut silently across the heavens, right above the crow, a single arc of light, fast and soft, like the sky exhaling. The crow didn't stir, and I barely breathed. I don't know what that moment meant. Maybe nothing, but I've carried it with me nonetheless. Like a prayer without words, like a quiet answer to a question I never asked. And then there was the child, the small one, no more than 7 or 8 winters, I'd say. I don't know where they came from. I'd heard no footsteps, no rustle, just looked up from the fire, and there they were, standing a few paces from the edge of the wheat, looking at me with wide, unreadable eyes. They said nothing. I said nothing, just nodded once, slowly. The child stepped forward and reached into a pocket. From it, they drew a crust of bread, dark rye, I think, rough at the edges. They didn't offer it with ceremony, simply placed it on the flat stone beside my knee, turned and walked away. I kept that crust. Still have it, in fact, wrapped in a square of linen tucked into a pouch near my heart. Not for eating, never for eating, but because that moment, that silence, was the most profound conversation I'd had in years. No questions, no stories, just one offering, freely given. Sometimes I wonder if the child was real, or if they were the field itself, walking for a time on 2 legs, a gift made flesh. But then again, I don't need to know. It happened. That's enough. You see, my friend, what I've come to understand in this place is that the world does not speak loudly to those who rush. But if you linger, if you lie still long enough, the quiet will begin to unfold. It will show you how a stone curls into a spiral, how rain carries old music, how foxes write poetry in tunnels of bent wheat. It will give you feathers and crumbs and sleeping crows, not to keep, but to feel, to witness, to remember. We often seek meaning in grand gestures, in banners waved high, in bells rung loud. But here, in this hush, I've found that the truest meaning lies in what's nearly missed. So stay a while longer, won't you? Let your eyes drift, your breathing soften. Let the little things find you. They will if you let them. And when they do, you'll know, not with your mind perhaps, but with your heart. And that, my dear companion, that is more than enough. Yes, I think this is it, my friend. The part of the night where everything begins to hush, even the hush itself. The fire has grown gentle now. It no longer crackles with chatter. It hums low and contented, like a lullaby that's nearly finished singing itself to sleep. You can still feel the warmth, though faint, steady, reaching just far enough to touch the edge of my boots, the fold of your sleeve. It doesn't ask to be fed anymore. It simply exists, glowing quietly in the cradle of stones, embers winking like tired eyes. I've drawn my cloak over my chest, just high enough to rest beneath the chin. The wool has picked up the scent of smoke and wheat, and beneath that, a bit of thyme and sage from where I tucked them into the corner days ago. The kind of scent that feels like a memory, soft, herbal, something from childhood or a kitchen in the late afternoon. It makes me want to close my eyes, not from exhaustion, but from ease. The wind has softened too. It still moves through the field, but not with the restlessness of evening. Now it's slow, smooth, less a breeze and more a breath. Whisperfield seems to know we are settling. You can hear it in the way the stalks no longer rustle, but sigh, long drawn-out sighs, like the field is exhaling all the sunlight it held throughout the day, a slow release. Even the crickets have lowered their voices. Their song has changed, hasn't it? Less of a rhythm now, more like a murmur, as if they're speaking only to each other or to the night itself. I can feel it in my chest, that shift from wakefulness to something softer, not quite sleep, not yet, but close. My breathing has slowed. It follows the rhythm of the wheat now, gentle in, gentle out. I could stay like this forever. You stare still beside me. An statue. Good. No need to speak. We're beyond words now, beyond thoughts, even. Just presence, just the quiet weight of being here. It's in moments like this that I remember. Peace isn't something we have to win. It's not a reward or a title, not a thing earned through effort or endurance. It's not even something given. It spurs something chosen. We choose to rest. We choose to soften. We choose to let go. The beautiful thing is, we can make that choice again and again and again, no matter the day behind us, no matter the road ahead. Peace doesn't judge. It waits. And when we are ready, it opens its arms and says, "Here, lay down what you carried. You done enough." I used to think stillness was the absence of meaning, but now I see it as the fullness of it. What if the point of life isn't to be remembered by many, but to be fully known by even just one? Or maybe to fully know a single night like this one, to feel the fabric of the world draped over your shoulders, to breathe in a sky of stars without needing to count them, to share this stillness quietly with a friend that feels like enough. No fanfare, no triumph, just the slow rhythm of the wind, the weight of a warm cloak, the soft glow of embers drawing smaller by the minute. It's strange, isn't it? How safe one can feel beneath the stars. They're so far away, so distant, and yet I always feel more held here than I ever did beneath stone roofs or cathedral ceilings. Perhaps it's because the sky doesn't close above you, it opens, it lets you drift, lets your thoughts wander out beyond yourself. You may not notice it happening, but it does. A little more with each breath. A loosening, a surrender. Let it happen, dear heart. Let your shoulders fall, your jaw rest, your brow smooth. Let the part of you that still tries stop trying. Let the part of you that still watches begin to drift. You're safe. Not just because I say so, but because the world around us says so. The fire, the wind, the field, the stars, they are not guarding you, they are joining you in rest. It's all right if your mind wanders. Let it wander. It will come back. Or maybe it won't. And that's all right too. There is no destination tonight. No story to finish. Only this. Only now. I find myself blinking slower, pausing longer between each thought, letting the weight of my armor press me into the earth like a seed returning to soil. And I like it. That feeling of being cradled. Not by hands, but by presence. The world can be harsh. Yes. Demanding. Loud. But not here. Not now. Here the world has gone soft. That too hope you feel it too. That you know you don't need to prove anything tonight. Not to me. Not to anyone. You have earned your rest by being. Nothing more. Nothing less. And if some part of you still doubts that, just keep breathing. The field will teach you, as it taught me. The stars will listen, and the fire, even in its last glowing moments, will stay beside you. Sleep will come, my friend. Not all at once, but gently, like the slow darkening of the sky. Like the last ember curling into ash, like a promise kept in silence. And when it does, I'll be here still, breathing with you. Shh. There now, my quiet friend. Let the last of the fire's warmth settle into your bones. Let it glow behind your eyelids, gentle and soft, like candlelight behind thin parchment. It has grown small, but steady, that fire. It doesn't flicker for attention. It simply remains, like an old friend, keeping watch. The wind has quieted to a hush, threading through the wheat as though careful not to wake it. You can hear it if you listen closely, just a soft brushing like fingertips through linen. It moves over us both, slow and familiar, a lullaby not sung but felt. The stars are all out now, every one of them, scattered and still wrapped in the deep violet of midnight's own cloak. They do not blink for show, they do not drift or call out, they simply shine, watchful, patient, old. I've always found comfort in that, knowing that while we sleep, the sky stays awake. You are not alone in this field. Not now, not ever. I'm still here beside you. My armor may creak, my breath may slow, but I will not leave before you've drifted. We've walked no road tonight, but we've gone far, haven't we? Through stories, through stillness, through the long golden hush of a summer's eve. You've done enough, you know. There is nothing more to hold, nothing more to carry. Let your thoughts unfasten. Let them wander gently into the tall grass, where even dreams take their shoes off. The night does not demand anything of you. It only invites. So go ahead. Close your eyes if they haven't closed already. Let your body grow heavier in the wheat. Let your jaw soften. Let the earth cradle your shoulders, your spine, your breath. And when sleep finds you, as it surely will, let it take you slow. No need to grip it. No need to rush. It comes like mist, like dusk, like an old memory returning in silence. Let it wrap around you. Let it lead you to a place where nothing hurts and everything listens. And if you wake in the night and wonder where you are, just remember this. The stars are watching. The fire is kind. The wind will keep you safe. And I am beside you, my friend, until dreams carry us both home.